Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Want to know before you buy. Plus, find out the newest show making its way all over campus. All this and more today on FST News One Hill Many Stories. Good morning, Falcons. It's Friday, November 11th. I'm Tristan Mang, and happy to announce FST News is back on the air. This Friday, before Veterans Day, we especially honor several Foothill teachers who served for our country before serving for our school. The unique experiences they had in different branches of our military shaped the teachers that Mr. Dwyer, Ms. Coggins, Mr. Lerma, and Mr. Gaskay and Mr. Hagan are today. On Veterans Day, Mr. Hagan will be participating in a drive to raise money for veterans in need. If you're not a part of the 27% of high school.
My name is Mr. Dwyer. I'm an English teacher here at Foothill High School. This has been my third career, but prior to doing this, I was in the Air Force for 30 years. I retired out of the Air Force in 2010 at Creech Air Force Base up in north of here. I ended my career as a Command Chief Master Sergeant, top enlisted position on a base.
My name is Lisa Coggins, and I served in the Army for 4 years. I was a military police officer, 95 Bravo.
My name is Mr. Hagan, and I served in the United States Air Force. I was in there for 20 years and retired as an E7, a Master Sergeant. Spent 1 year in Vietnam as a combat vet. The 20 years, I really enjoyed it. I was an aircraft mechanic.
My name is Mr. Lerma, and I served in the United States Air Force for 20 years between 1977 and 1997.
My name is Mr. Gaskay, and I served in the Army for 6 years. I deployed to Afghanistan for 13 months and saw, part of the world that's as different from our part of the world as it can get.
When I was at Edwards Air Force Base, we did a lot of experimental airplanes. Where they were putting together the F-16 at the time, the F-15. We were doing a lot of competition between different airplanes to see which one the Air Force is going to buy. Make sure that we get every airplane fixed so it can fly the next day.
I'm very proud of my country, and I, anytime I salute the flag, I always get a little teary-eyed about it. Students know in my classroom I'm a disabled veteran, and there's no talking during the pledge. I want you standing up for that moment of silence for all those people who did give their lives so that we have that freedom.
The military teaches you a very structured life, a sense of dedication and conviction to the job that you do in the military and how we serve our country. That being said, that translated very easily for me as I became a teacher.
Veterans Day recognizes those that are still living that serve their country. And I have my son is in the Air Force. He's a captain in the United States Air Force in Washington, D.C. My family's a long chain of military members, and when we look at this time period, we also do it on Facebook, and we link up with each other, and we congratulate each other for the successes that we've had, and we recognize those that have gone before us and that didn't make it back.
I come from a family, my husband was in the Navy, my father-in-law was in the Marines, so we usually do like a cookout and, kind of talk about our experiences.
We are lucky to live in a spot like this, and that it's protected by the people that serve. So yeah, I always am thankful for that and try to impart that to my students.
I think it gives me a lot of experience in real life where I can share that with kids.
During that time, I've seen a lot in our country and our history, and the reason I do this job as a teacher is I want to pass on to my students what I learned in my lifetime in the Air Force.
On Veterans Day, Mr. Hagan will be participating in a drive to raise money for veterans in need. Mr. Lerma will be riding in the Veterans Day Parade in downtown Las Vegas, which, by the way, according to CSN, is the second largest in the U.S. If you're interested in going, the parade starts at 9:45 Monday morning, running north on 4th Street. It's no news that many high school students around the country are vaping, but now with recent reports of people being sent to the ER and even losing their lives, vaping is being looked at as a toxic hazard. Before we play the story, we first want to disclose that the interviewee in this package is 18 and that the vapes featured are props from the CCSD police office. If you're not a part of the 27% of high schoolers who do it or have done it, then you've at least seen or heard about it. Vaping, a craze among high school students for the past few years, has been under fire due to its addictive nature and assumed health risks. Now, the vaping of both nicotine and THC carts are being looked at as the next epidemic.
Have been targeting youth, and it's become somewhat of an epidemic. Across the country, there have been several deaths due to vaping. We now know that companies are able to flavor the marijuana cartridges, so they're almost undetectable unless we test it. So it's a problem we never had to deal with 10 years ago.
As of October 15th, the Centers for Disease Control, or CDC, has confirmed nearly 1,500 vaping-related injuries in hospitals around the U.S. 33 of those cases resulted in fatalities, the youngest being a 13-year-old boy. With these recent reports, I asked high school students that used e-cigarettes or carts to anonymously describe what it's like to use consecutively and their thinking on the recent health reports.
Physically, I feel a little bit different. I'm definitely not 100% there. I think I've gotten a little bit more careless, but I think that's also because of other external factors. It is very worrisome. Most of the stuff I get are from other people, so I can't tell if they come from reputable sources or not.
When it comes to the use of nicotine, certain juices can contain chemicals like diacetyl, which can cause scarring in the lungs, and propylene glycol, which can cause dizziness and nausea. The same chemical, along with additives like vitamin E, have also been found in many THC carts sold on the street. When chemicals like propylene glycol are vaporized, they can release carcinogens, or chemicals that cause cancer. Either way, the CDC has announced that people should refrain from using e-cigarettes and street carts until further research says otherwise. For now, the CDC sees no reason why people should vape, but has about 1,500 reasons why they shouldn't. Tristan Meng, FST News. Vaping of nicotine or THC is, of course, prohibited by Clark County on school property, with the first infraction guaranteeing a suspension or worse. Foothill is no different. With a zero-tolerance attitude, our deans and campus police don't let up when it comes to vaping. So get ready for a night full of thrills, chills, and murder. Foothill's professional unpaid theater is preparing for their next play, Clue. Performances are November 6th through the 9th. The doors open at 6 p.m. and the shows start at 6:30. If you want to get tickets for the show for $5, head on over to fstnews.com and under the links section, look for Clue Play tickets. Otherwise, they're $7 at the door. The Student Council is having a food drive from Manion's Pantry and asks students to bring their donations to the cafeteria during lunch. The class with the most donated items by December 4th will win a hot cocoa bar during the lunch. You may not remember your entire senior class, but having a picture with some of the kids you grew up with is something you'll take forever. The senior panoramic picture is next Thursday, November 14th, and picture forms will be handed out in your government class. Seniors, if you don't have a government class, visit the activities office for extra forms. If looking at thousands of colleges you could go to seems overwhelming, look no further than your own campus. CSN is the first to be here next Tuesday at 9 a.m., followed by Dixie State next Wednesday at 8 a.m. and Nevada State on the same day at 9. UNLV is also stopping by next Thursday at 9 a.m. And finally, the National Guard will be here next Friday at 9. All colleges will meet in room 503 with the National Guard meeting in room 700. Coming up after the break, Diego is here with some happy news to add to your Friday. We are FST News One Hill, many stories. We'll be right back.
Hey, bird brain.
All right.
Get back here.
Let's get serious for a minute. We're living in a constantly changing world, and we all know it. But some things are still true. Be nice to each other, appreciate each other, have respect. And one other thing, we gotta have each other's back. When you see bullying, when you're worried about someone hurting themselves or someone else, you have to stand up and speak up. We have to have each other's backs because, let's be real, we all want and deserve to be safe. When you hear something, when you see something, when you read something, you have to say something. And that's where Safe Voice comes in. It's anonymous, it's an app, and it's a call center, and it's 24 hours a day. It's important. Look out for each other.
This week on Happy News, I have an update about the high-profile Team Trees project. If you don't already know about the Team Trees movement, it's a nonprofit effort to plant 20 million trees by January 1st, 2020. As of November 7th, about $14.3 million has been donated to the program. This means that about 14 million trees will be planted at various locations around the globe. This project is backed by the Arbor Day Foundation, so the trees that are donated have a high survival rate. If you want to donate, you can do so at teamtrees.org. Each tree costs $1, and you can be joined by internet personalities like Mr. Beast, PewDiePie, Elon Musk, and other CEOs of big companies. There is currently only 53 days left in the year, so donate before you forget. Well, that's all the happy tree news I have for you this week. Now back on over to Tristan with sports.
Any boys interested in joining the lacrosse team this year, JV and varsity tryouts are coming up fast. On November 19th, 21st, the 23rd, and all through the month of December, you have the opportunity to try out. No experience is needed, just a good attitude and willingness to work hard. Participation is mandatory for all wishing to play in the spring 2020 season. So if you're unable to attend for any reason, you must contact Coach or Pant in room 813 beforehand. Look for posters in the halls, download the team app to your phone, and search Foothill LAX to keep up with lacrosse communications and events. Well, that's all the news going on around the Hill today, Falcons. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at FST News. Also follow our Snapchat at FST Snap. And from all of us here at FST News, have an awesome Friday, Falcons.